With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender bender-er, the got a ticket-er, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
This is FunBelt Commissioner Keith Gill, and I listen to the FunBelt podcast.
This is the FunBelt podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Folks, to Dusty Thibodeau of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howl Razor, and Shane Metlin of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belts.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's beanbag season, pickleball season, and everything else in the Sun Belt. Guys, we are all back together after I was unable to make the April Fool's edition last week.
Did
y'all really miss me, Metlin?
You missed Coach K. You missed Nick Saban. They were in the green room. You could have been there for that, Tibbs.
Did you steal the Diet Coke cutouts of these coaches and just throw them in there?
Shane, back me up. They were here, right?
There were people in the green room at some point. I couldn't tell exactly who it was.
Somebody drank the Fanta. Someone ate the Slim Jims. Someone peed in the corner. I'm thinking it was Coach K.
At least one person appreciated the bit. I don't know if you saw that.
There was one person that did appreciate the bit. Yes,
so,
it's not a bit. It's real life.
If only one person laughs, then it's worth it.
That's right. If we could put a smile on one face,
then we've made the world a better place.
I bet it was Jamie Chadwell that was really in there. But guys, enough of all that.
Okay.
We have 3 nationally ranked teams in baseball, but one of them this past weekend fell by the wayside as a true freshman for the Thundering Herd, Clint Moak, able to get a complete game shutout as the Thundering Herd rallied past the nationally ranked Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Jeremy, you always say it best of the Sun Belt entropy. Is this what we're going to see in the league, and is this going to cost us our multi-bid status when it comes tournament time?
Absolutely not. By the time it's tournament time, everybody will have forgotten about this Marshall thing. And let's face it. In baseball, these things happen. You can't just run the table when it comes to baseball. I know that we're usually measured a little bit, especially any mid-major program is always measured a little more harshly than a major program. But Sunbelt's known as a good baseball league. You're going to have these things happen. I don't think it's going to have any effect, Shane Metlin.
Yeah, I don't think so either. For one, it's not net, it's RPI, which has always been a little bit better for the, not absolute top conferences. And the other thing is it is a good baseball league. You come in with like teams with decent RPIs, so they can beat up on each other a little bit more than like there's no room for error for Sunbelt basketball, but that's not the case for baseball.
We're approaching the midway point of the Sunbelt Conference season. I say that, and I think it's just about a month left. It's a mess. There's no real true front runner with Troy, Coastal, Southern Miss, Georgia State all sitting at 8-4, App State, the Cajuns at 7-5, Georgia Southern, Texas State 6-6. Everyone else has a losing record. The only team I can think of that's really maybe out of the running is ULM, sitting at 3-9 overall conference. They will host the Raging Cajuns this upcoming weekend. Guys, what do you see as you look up and down the standings there?
Well, one thing I see is a Georgia State team that seems to have come out of nowhere, and you wonder when is somebody going to kind of take notice? They've won 3 straight. They're 21-13 overall, which isn't smelly potatoes. Tied for first in the conference. Where did this Panthers team come from? Nobody was expecting this.
I really don't know. I mean,
you guys were stunned.
I wasn't expecting either. They got a sweep against JMU, which I think kind of pushed them up the standings a little bit. JMU's not a terrible team, but not great. But I'm surprised. All the teams we talked about preseason,
right?
Georgia State was not one of them. So,
do you think converting a baseball field into a football field somehow gave them special baseball powers?
It probably doesn't hurt. I mean, they have the power of Hank Aaron that is really able to propel them to be able to hit the long ball. I mean, you have guys, though, like Sean Smith, second in the league in batting average, hitting .402 this year. But they, as much as I joke about the Hank Aaron and them hitting the long ball, they haven't really been a big home run hitting team. But at the same time, they're consistent. They're a solid team at the plate. They've had some good pitching. I think that this might be their year, Jeremy.
Georgia State. All right. I think we're okay with that. Meanwhile, you know who's knocking the cover off the ball? Appalachian State.
Oh, yeah. App State.
Average above 300. The only team batting above 300. A full 14 points ahead of Troy. That's pretty good. Appalachian State might be that sneaky sort of Sun Belt tournament team that just bashes its way into, I don't know, a what you call it, a conference bye or a conference or an at-large. No, not at-large, a conference in. That would be kind of cool.
Are you speaking English, Jeremy?
Let me ask you an honest question. I honestly don't know. Does the altitude help the ball travel out there?
I would think.
I don't know.
It's
because they were on the Bayou this past weekend and they were smashing the ever-living hell out of it.
All right, then.
And that included Tyler Figueroa going 3 home runs, including a grand slam, to be Sun Belt Conference Hitter of the Week. They had no issues with it. So I don't know if they brought some of the juice balls from the altitude to the Bayou. Maybe they drank some of the Eagle Creek water while they were there, but they were mashing it.
I'm going to give you guys a surprise stat. Are you ready?
Okay.
Coastal Carolina has the best ERA in the Sun Belt, but guess who is second? The Red Wolves. My Red Wolves at 385. That is a full 3 runs better than they finished last season. So credit to Mike Silva. I know the Arkansas State Red Wolves are still pretty much at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Sun Belt baseball, but there is some improvement going on in Jonesboro.
They're in 10th place, Jeremy. That means they're headed to Montgomery.
That's like a big win for us. We're pretty happy about that.
It's really no clearer on the softball side as well, where
what's that?
Georgia Southern of all teams.
Is softball a club sport? Do we play softball in the Sun Belt?
Only if we bowl or play pickleball.
I don't know if we do anymore.
Is it that bad, Shane?
I mean,
I haven't looked.
No, I mean, there's some good teams, but it's different. It's a different Sun Belt than I think we're used to, with the Cajuns not being anywhere near the top.
In fact, if I heard it correctly, Tibbs, the Cajuns actually lost a Sun Belt series this week, right?
They did. They lost. It wasn't this past week. It was 2 weeks ago, I believe, where they lost it at Southern Miss.
Yeah. Wow. How the mighty have fallen.
But I'm kind of surprised there that Georgia Southern leading the charge there at 9-3. They will travel to I forget where they go this week, but I know that they go to the Bayou next weekend with that Easter abbreviated season or schedule where they'll play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leading into Easter. Texas State, ULM, Marshall all tied for second at 8-4 in the league. Southern Miss 7-4. They actually took 2 games from the Warhawks this past weekend. This weekend, though, Warhawks travel to App State, needing to get that win ahead of the Georgia Southern series next weekend.
I know that I don't follow softball as much as some of you two do, but there's a name next to the last here that I'm a little confused about, Tibbs. And maybe, Shane, you can explain it. James Madison, next to last?
Yeah, it's been rough. That's after a 5-game winning streak. They lost 11 in a row before that. The worst losing streak in the program history. It's been a tough season. It's been a rough one for the Dukes.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm sure nobody is taking delight in that.
I am.
I guess. Oh, my goodness.
So, hey, Shane, are there no bright spots for James Madison softball this year? I mean, is there nothing that you can just say, well, at least we fill in the blank?
Peyton List, sophomore utility player, pitches and hits. She's been good coming around as a pitcher, has 10 home runs. They just have holes in the lineup that they can't really seem to overcome, and it's been a tough go considering they were kind of like the national darlings not too long ago in 2021. So
yeah,
it's been tough.
Not really batting very well, it looks like. Kind of in the middle of the pack for pitching. Just not up to standards for the Dukes. Yeah.
The mighty have fallen.
Oh, man. I mean, not that we're reveling in this, Shane, but we are a little bit. No, we should not revel in somebody else's pain, Tibbs. I mean,
no, we should. I have more than enough that I am allowed to share.
That's what I'm saying.
Pain, the agony, and everything else. And Shane will still just shake it off like, yeah, that's really not that bad. Bullshit.
I will have you know that shifting gears a little bit, that Arkansas State bowling was eliminated in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So there will be no joy in Jonesboro bowling this season. Maybe ever. Yeah, we spent so many times being runner-up, and now we're bounced out of the first round. It's tough. It's tough all over. Shane, if you want to talk about, Arkansas State kind of feeling how it feels to be the James Madison softball program, that's how the bowling program feels right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the national stage,
okay,
basketball just wrapped up. Knowing that the finals were there, it was an exciting game. I did admittedly only watch the final about 5 minutes of the game to watch the Cougars blow their 15-point lead that they had at one point in time. A lot of interest there, trying to see if LJ Cryer could become the first player in NCAA history to win a national title with 2 teams. Some Monroe ties in there as well as North Louisiana representing. But it was the SEC and their 7-12 center that did not play that was the real story, as they were able to come from behind and get their national title.
I did see something that kind of raised my eyebrows after that. I saw a couple mid-major schools put out a congratulations to their former players who had played in that game. Congratulations for being in the national championship game. Like one from Iona. I think there's an FAU guy. They did it too. I didn't know what to think about that, Tibbs. I was like, is it a little pathetic to be like, hey, congratulations for winning a national title? Not on our team, though. Our team wasn't good enough. You bailed on us.
It's no different than the Raging Cajuns sending out good luck, which I didn't know was still a thing for Quantis White, their new head basketball coach, an assistant at U of H. I didn't know that he was still at U of H coaching. I figured once you sign, you're in Lafayette and rolling on.
No, they let you stay.
Apparently, but that was a little weird to me. I mean, that would be like Marshall wishing Coach Huff good luck in the season opener this upcoming year.
Isn't that? No, I don't know if it's quite there. It did feel a little weird. Shay, do you find that weird, or is it this in this day and age when people are transferring all over the place? Like, for instance, when Norchad O'Meara left Arkansas State, and so did Dizzy Seals left Arkansas State the same year. Both those players ended up in the Final Four with different teams. You kind of felt good for those players because they're like, hey, all right, you're in the limelight, but at the same time, you're a little pissed that they were somewhere else. Is it okay to say congratulations to a player that's transferred away from your program?
I think it's okay. It is weird. I mean, the whole situation's kind of weird. I don't know what you do, honestly. Do you just ignore it, or do you try to get something out of it? Are you like saying like, hey, don't forget, good players can come here and end up having success? Like, I don't know. Maybe you try to like use it as like a billboard for your own program, or I don't know. Personally, I probably just would not say anything. But
yes, I think that's where I would be. And maybe privately be like, hey, yeah, I'm glad. But yeah, I remember one year, Tibbs. Do you remember this when Georgia was going for like a national football title or whatever? I think in the playoff. At some point, I can't remember, but Georgia State's social media guy put out like a, good luck, Georgia, in the championship or whatever. And that got like a lot of blowback. Like, what are you doing? Cheering on Georgia when you're Georgia State. Is that the same vibe I'm getting here, or that's just totally different?
Well, I mean, Jeremy, I know that you have an Arkansas hat that you wear on select Saturdays.
How dare you?
Well, you're from Arkansas, right?
Well, yeah, I'm from the state of Arkansas, but I would never wear anything University of Arkansas related, ever. I would not do that.
Give us one
little bit different.
One Woo Pig Suey, Jeremy. Just
one. No, I don't. That's not even in my language.
Like, I don't think that's another one where I just probably wouldn't say anything if I was the social media director.
God, why would you?
But I don't know. At that point, if you get down to, okay, there's only 2 teams left, I can kind of see like, okay, we're going to offer support to like our state. Like, it's not necessarily saying like, I don't know. If someone's like, if we got to choose one or the other, I guess we'll keep all that money and stuff in state. But like, I don't know.
Yeah,
and it seems like a lot of people who run official social media accounts feel like they have to have a post for everything, and maybe you don't.
Well, just desperation for content. That's where that came from.
I feel like there's a difference though of in Jeremy's discussion there of saying go Georgia versus the best football is played in Georgia with your Georgia State logo on there.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. Huh. By the way, speaking of ULM,
ULM mentioned
ULM. When someone put out a social media post talking about the great logos that Louisiana had, and they had everybody's logo, like even Nickel State. The only logo that didn't appear in this logo sheet Was ULM? Does ULM have a bad logo, Shane? I'm not going to ask Tibbs because I think Tibbs loves the logo. Shane, what do you think of that logo?
I like the Warhawk plane logo. That deserves
the old P9
P40.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, I don't know. If we're being completely honest, I'm not entirely inspired by the one that actually spells out ULM.
Yeah.
But
I
do think that the plain one is badass. That should be fun.
God, I wish they would make that their primary logo. Yeah.
My soul hurts.
Tibbs, who has the worst logo in the Sun Belt? Are we wait a second before we do this? Are we setting ourselves up for some pain? Dude,
I'm gonna say probably.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna say Georgia Southern, honestly, because I feel like theirs is just kind of a plain eagle head. Yeah. Sometimes with the script of Golden Eagles, sometimes or with Southern Georgia Southern. I'll get it right eventually. It's late. But nothing really just jumps out like it does with even the Cajuns with the chili pepper. I mean, who doesn't love cayenne? You got to love Boko, the mascot there for Texas State. James Madison looks like a bad Photoshop class with the junkyard dog.
I they could probably do it's the dog though with the crown, right? They got the
he has the tongue hanging out.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the thing about Georgia Southern. You mentioned them. They have that iconic helmet, right? The blue helmet with the white number on it. I mean, they've got that, and they got just the plain blue jersey with the white, number on it. It's just very Spartan. You're right about that logo. The logo doesn't fit in that, does it? It just doesn't quite match the same aesthetic as the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to keep it in Georgia, though, and say Georgia State is...
The Panther?
Yeah. It's would anybody recognize that if I gave you like 5 different Panther heads and told you like one of these is Georgia State, would you be able to like pick out which one it is?
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. And Tibbs mentioned Texas State. I never really liked that Bobcat head.
That's because they own you.
Oh, damn!
And they take your players. They take your girlfriend and your players.
Well, what players have they taken? I mean, have they really taken any? Anyway, well, let's not get into that. I've never really been the Bobcat itself. I don't know. There's something that it needs something else. Just like that Georgia State. Yeah. Like I think I like a lot of what the Bobcats are doing branding wise. There's just something about the Bobcat head. It always looks too small or something. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I would say at least they have a unique color scheme that
they do
kind of like makes them stand out. Like I'm with you on the Bobcat itself, but if we're going to grade it overall, I think that helps them.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Tibbs is right when it comes to the best logos. The chili pepper is really cool for the Cajuns. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see that. I mean, you might think Chili's, the restaurant. I don't know. I mean, if you're being really kind of cruel there, but I love it. I think it's really cool. Who else has
best logo? Old Dominion, but the powder blue Old Dominion is just
people like that powder blue. Yeah, that looks good. I'm having a hard time thinking what the logo looks like. I can see the ODU
with a crown on it.
Okay. So there's 2 crowns in the Sun Belt. There's James Madison.
Why is the real rivalry, Jeremy?
Oh, is there some hatred, some heat for that? Okay, I get that. Huh. Troy. All right. Listen, guys, I love Hector. Like the cartoon Hector guy that they had, like, I don't know, maybe in the early zeros.
Oh, if we're going legacy old school, I mean.
Well, what I'm saying is I like that one better than I like the current logo, which is the T that's the sword. I don't really especially like that one. I kind of find it kind of boring. But the Hector logo, to me, is pretty exciting.
And that's why Troy fans hate you.
People get mad when I'll use the old Hector logo all the time when I'm posting something about Troy.
Yeah.
And they get upset. I find the new one just maybe, I don't know, too slick. I don't know
what I saw a good amount of in Pensacola from Troy fans? I was surprised. There's people wearing stuff that had TSU on it.
There does seem to be a lot of nostalgia for TSU. And doesn't the Bobcats kind of do that too with their old
Southwest Texas State?
Yeah. And does ULM do that too? Is there a little bit of Southwest, or was it Southeast Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana? I can't remember what's
Northeast Louisiana. I mean, the ULM one that Shane Metlin at the Daily News Record does not like really is reminiscent of the old NOU logo, where the NOU, the L was an Indian. Now it's like a hawk with maybe a questionable feather that you could say is maybe an Indian headdress to kind of merge the two together. Symbolic.
None of you have mentioned the Red Wolves logo. Is it too generic? It's the front-facing Red Wolf?
It's not bad. It looks quite a bit like my kids' lacrosse logo, though.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Copyright infringement.
Well, you'll be hearing from our lawyers. A lot of people will look at the Memphis Grizzlies logo and say it's kind of the same. I'm like, yeah, you know why? Because the same branding company came up with both those logos. But I don't know.
It's okay.
Red Wolves could use a refresh. I mean, it's been a while. They could probably come up with something different.
I liked the old Animate Indian of Arkansas State, though.
The tragically racist Indian with the giant nose and the scalp and the hatchet and the
wasn't his name Chief Wackanut or something?
What was his name? Running Joe. That's right. It's Running Joe. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of people in Jonesboro who love Running Joe. But
is that from Joe Hollis, the head coach?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know where Joe comes from. It was some illustrator on campus who the legend was. He put it together and it became a hit. I don't know if he ever made any money off of it or anything, but whatever. We weren't able to fight the NCAA to keep that. But there are some people who still don't even recognize the Red Wolves. They'll continue calling us the Indians.
Nice. But we always talk football here.
Okay. It's about that time. Last show, Shane and I were like, when do we talk about football?
Well, but here's the deal. Yeah. With mid-majors still being susceptible to the poaching of the P5 this spring, a lot of places have said, we don't have football this spring. We don't have a team. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's redshirting. Our team transferred. Nothing to see here. Based on that, there's really not a lot of information out and about of what's going on this spring. So I send it to the masses. Who has the most to prove this spring to really get ready for the fall 25 season? I'll start with you, Shane.
The most to prove?
Yeah.
Might go with Marshall. Kind of just completely overhauling.
Yeah.
You could throw Southern Miss in there too, but I think they know a little bit of what they got. They got a championship winning coach and bringing his quarterback and some of his other players. There's a core there. It's in a different place, but Marshall, I think the spring's really interesting for Marshall to see what they have. We have some idea what the personality of the new coaching staff is going to be like, but that's the one I'm pretty interested in, is just how's that whole new roster going to come together?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. I think the team that has the most to prove is App State. I mean, you make the coaching change from one of your own to somebody else. A lot of guys hit the portal, and you're just wondering is this going to be a true dip for App State, or is this the kind of kick in the pants that they needed to get back to being atop the East standings and contending for the Sun Belt Conference Championship?
Wow. My I was going to say Southern Miss because they've had so many consecutive seasons now of underperforming. But I think it might be Texas State, guys. I mean, Texas State was supposed to destroy the Sun Belt last year. G.J. Kinney was supposed to be, the next coming of one of the great Sun Belt coaches. He had all the tools, and that team really kind of flopped. So you got to wonder, was it a sophomore slump that happened, or is this something that Texas State can rebound? I think Texas State might have the most to prove over the spring.
Yeah. I know that ULM is the school that you're talking about that just didn't have any spring football that they want you to know about. But
no, there's others.
I think that's another interesting one. Just, can they build off being sort of that feel-good story early in the season last year? Would 5-7 again be good enough, even though that's much better than what they were getting prior to Brian Vincent? I'm fairly interested in that story too.
Ooh, do you think Brian Vincent might be the victim of his own success, having peaked too high too quickly?
I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying, will they expect a bowl game this year?
I have thoughts, and I'll give my selfless plug. Believe in the Warhawks, part of the FunBelt podcast, where we talk everything ULM. Coming up here in a couple weeks, we'll start talking what does the 25 season actually look like, and really laying it all out there. So stay tuned on that there, Shane.
Okay.
It sounds to me, and Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm reading too much into these tea leaves, that Tibbs has expectations for this Warhawks team.
Maybe.
I think the expectations have been beaten out of me, Jeremy. My expectations is that the team arrives. I didn't say if they were on time, if they were sober, that they're there.
I think you have secret expectations that are yearning to burst out and become known. I am looking forward to these upcoming episodes of Believe in the Warhawks.
I just want to know, what are we going to do now that basketball season's over? Is Netlin going to start covering recruiting?
Yeah, I need to, when I have some time, get to it, episode, kind of break down the portal, coaching changes, just kind of talk about the offseason. The offseason might give us more to talk about than the regular season, to be honest.
So I calculated. By the way, all right, there's two things I want to talk to you about that Netlin. One, we talked a little bit last week about how there are guys in the portal that jumped in that don't seemingly have any eligibility left. And then there were a couple social platforms that insisted they all had a year left. Have you heard anything different? Have you heard anything about this?
I have.
At that time. Yeah.
Let me pull up a message from a Sunbelt coach.
Ooh, okay.
Sunbelt assistant coach. And
we're getting a Metlin scoop right now.
I asked, what is up with the guys out of eligibility entering the portal? This one said, not quite sure. I think some are trying to get attention. It's crazy.
That's very quotable, by the way.
It's crazy. All right. So, by the way, I calculated this is sort of a back of the napkin.
Somebody who would know if these people had any eligibility left.
Oh, okay.
So they don't.
I did some back of the napkin sort of calculations. I estimate about 38% of Sunbelt players ended up in the portal this year. Does that seem like a lot of guys? I mean,
not in this day and age.
No, maybe not. That's just a lot. It's like 80 guys. If you calculate that every team has about 15 players, it's about 38%. And then you add in all the guys that graduated out. I don't know. You're looking at close to 50% of rosters not returning.
We had what? One was ULM the only coaching? No, Lafayette, ULM were the two coaching changes of the Sun Belt.
Arkansas.
So that automatic. What's that?
Arkansas State had a coaching change.
Yeah, whatever. But even giving them the benefit of the doubt, that's 45 guys right there of emptying the rosters because they're going to follow the coach, or, hey, I finally get a chance to leave out of here, kind of transfer free. So that's probably about right, Jeremy. With even a minimal number of coaching changes, you're going to see a high percentage change, and then you add to the fact that guys, as new ULM head coach Phil Cunningham referred to them, the rebound guys. I was at the P5, but I didn't get much play time, so I got to kind of prove myself that I am a D1 athlete. I transfer for a year to Old Dominion or wherever. I shine, and now I'm back in the P5 because somebody wants me.
What's funny is that Tyron Moore of Georgia Southern, he had left. He was at UAB last year. Now, this was after averaging like 17 points a game for 2 years with Georgia Southern. Averaged about 6 points with UAB. Is now back with Georgia Southern. So people come back. People will come back.
Yeah, Denaje Harris did.
Yeah, Denaje Harris did. People just love them some Sunbelt. I did notice too that we haven't seen a whole lot of Sunbelt players or former team players that were formerly of Sunbelt teams get picked up yet. I've seen about 4, and 2 of them have been going with Coach Hodgson to South Florida, like he had already pitched them. I'm not bitter about that at all. Taking our 2 best players, but I don't think that's unusual either, Metlin. I think they're still sort of waiting around and letting things settle. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of movement I've seen people jump into the portal. I haven't seen a whole lot of people picking new teams.
Yeah, not a ton. I think the Rigsby brothers from Troy did, right?
One of them did. I went to UTA.
Is it not both of them? Okay.
I only saw one, and then one from ULM went to the Trojans of Little Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, one from JMU's going to Longwood.
Yeah.
Didn't play very much, but not a ton of big names. I mean, I think Miles Rigsby is probably like, other than the guys going to South Florida, I think he's the only one that's like, really much of a contributor.
Yeah, where's Connerway gonna go? Where's Dunning Jr. gonna go? You're just kind of wondering where these guys are gonna end up. But
yeah, I think part of it too is the really highly sought after Power 5, Power 4 guys are going to pick their schools here pretty soon, and they're going to set the market.
Oh, okay, all right.
If a guy who's an all-conference SEC player or whatever is worth $2 million, say, whatever it ends up being, like, then that tells you what the Sunbelt Player of the Year might be worth.
God, the money that's being thrown around.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. All right. I guess we'll wait. We'll wait and see.
What else do we have there, boys?
I think that's it. I think it's time for your favorite segment.
Welcome in. Oh, wrong segment. Plugs, promos, parting shots. Metlin, what do you have to kick us off?
Yes, you're first.
I guess it's a parting shot because I'm going to ask for feedback, which may be dangerous after the show. But we were talking a little bit off air about a possible topic of conversation was kind of what's happening around Sunbelt in their stadiums in the offseason, what's changing. Obviously, Coastal Carolina made some headlines with their free concessions. There's premium seating going in some places. So I'm farming out my research on this. Everybody tell me what your favorite thing that's happening within your stadium this off season that you're looking forward to in the fall, so we can talk about that in a future show. So hit me up on Twitter or whatever, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, last year, if I recall, it seemed like there's a huge boom in team branded beers and booze. Everybody had their own beer, and I think James Madison had their own whiskey or bourbon at one point. I wonder if what will be the thing this year. Is there something trendy that will happen? That's all I got. Shane, I tried to build up on that. I don't think I succeeded.
Let's see. For me, I'm going to do a way out there plug.
Ooh.
The flight's booked. I'm headed to New Orleans for Sunbelt Conference Media Days.
Nice.
We look forward to seeing if we can drag the Shane Metlin out there, if his handler and agent will allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, you're already committed. It'll be on a Tuesday, Wednesday of this year.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay.
But looking forward to it. I love Media Day. I feel like
do.
that's the true official start of college football.
Shane, you've got to see Tibbs on Media Days.
Yeah.
He is in his element. He's surrounded by a bunch of SIDs and old journalist guys, and they're high-fiving and telling stories and having, just a good old time. Tibbs is in his element. You got to see it just for that.
Yeah. I need to pay closer attention when I get those emails that said Southwestern flight's $49 or something, and see if I can.
They're not sponsors. They're just the blue and red and yellow airline.
Okay.
Yeah,
that out.
I'm sure that prices are just going to go down considering what's going on with the economy right now. So just keep waiting.
I don't know. Where are the planes made?
It's probably going to be a tariff. My parting shot. My parting shot is I saw somewhere on social media today where they were kind of asking a question about what was the best non-traditional field. It was like Boise State. It was Central Arkansas with their purple and gray. It was Coastal Carolina with their teal field. It was Eastern Michigan with that crazy gray field. There's another field in there. Which one's the best? The question was. I said they're all horrible. Every one of those fields is god awful to look at. If your team is playing in home colors, you can't see them because they blend into the damn field. It's just an abomination. We have to stop doing it. Football doesn't need that kind of gimmick. Football is great by itself. It's played on a green and white gridiron. Quit trying to turn football into arena football. It's football. It's green grass. It's white stripes. Quit trying to muck it up. That's my parting shot.
Yeah, just think if ULM would have done the camo field, Jeremy.
We wouldn't be able to see the players.